All right, well, I think we will get started. We've got a pretty good group here, a few more than maybe anticipated, so we've been able to fill in some chairs back there, so when you can, grab a seat. Thank you for attending our construction information meeting for the fourth and final phase of construction for the Main Street project here in Lake Mills. My name is Jeremy Hall. I work for DOT. I will be the project manager completing this project. I think I'm the only new face to the project team, which is a good thing. And if you recall last year, the previous project manager was Craig Hardy. And unfortunately for DOT, he found a job closer to home, so he is moving back to the southwest part of the country and no longer with DOT. So I'm going to finish the project out as project manager. But like I said, the rest of the project team that you would have talked to last year is still the same. So CGC is the company that will be overseeing construction from the engineering standpoint, hired by DOT. So Garrett is going to be your main point of contact. That's probably the only slight change would be he is now going to be the project leader. Chad, if you would have spoken to him last year, was the project leader. He's still going to be out and involved with the project. He's just also overseeing a project on 94 for us. So you can still contact him, but Garrett would be your first point of contact. And then Lalonde Contractors is still, of course, the prime contractor. Eric is here. He's going to share in a little bit just their overall schedule. So, like I said, glad that it's the same team. I was here on a weekly basis last year with another project, so I was pretty well aware of how things were going and progressing. And I've seen a lot of the urban reconstructs like this get built over the years, and I can tell you this one went quite well. I thought these guys got a lot of work done in a small amount of time, so much that they did get ahead of schedule. So I'm really optimistic about the last few months of construction that we have here. If all goes well, July 1st is what we're looking at for a completion date. So again, optimistic that everything should go just as well this season. So this stage, as you know, it basically just takes place between Woodland Beach Road down to County Highway A. And it's going to be all the same work that was done last year for the first three phases, meaning all the underground sewer, water, all the way up through the pavement and sidewalks, curb and gutter, et cetera. So all the same type of work has to take place, just a much shorter distance, which is why the duration is shorter. So the focus here of this meeting really just kind of a brief kind of a presentation here. A lot of it's just reintroducing, or in my case, introducing the project team so you know who you should contact when you have questions. Again, Garrett there and Eric would be the contact with Lalonde. So the other, Brian King, I know, was another contact that was very helpful last year as kind of a liaison between us and property owners, so another good contact that you can get. And then the flip side of it, making sure that we get you guys' information, particularly on the south end of the project, if you may not have made it to this meeting last year. So please, if you didn't sign in the back, and your email address would be very useful for us, because Garrett's going to take over the duty of putting together every week an email. It's going to tell you what was done the week before and what we would expect the week coming up. So if you did not get that email last year, please make sure we get your email address and we will add it to the distribution list. So shortly, I'm just going to have Eric kind of run through the overall schedule of operations you're going to expect to see over just the next couple of months. And then there's a handout there with some general information. I'm going to cover a few more things on access in there. And then otherwise, right at the end, we can take a few general type questions, but we can meet with anyone individually as you have access needs or whatever questions you've got. So before I forget too, if there were folks that you know that could not make this meeting tonight, because everybody has various commitments and we schedule these meetings, usually there's basketball games. In this case, I realize it's Ash Wednesday. There's people that maybe wanted to be here but can't be here. That's perfectly fine. This is not the one-stop shop, only time you can talk or meet with us. So please give them our information, and we're happy to chat with them on the phone or meet with them in person, whatever works best. So with that, Eric, you just want to go through?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Eric Schmeling, the project manager with Lalonde Contractors. Our schedule here for Stage 4 lays out that we'll be looking to start up operations here on March 17th. You'll see traffic control will be set up 10 days prior for the PCMS, the personalized message boards, just notifying the public that 89 will be shut down. Traffic control will then be installed for the shutdown of the road on March 17th. We will start in with pavement removals, and then we will start in on the water main installation right off the bat, and then follow it up with the sanitary sewer and the storm sewer installation following that. That should run us through March and then through April. We're looking to build the road and start installing concrete pavements in late April/May for our mainline pavements on our drivable surface. After that, we'll be looking to install the curb and gutter, driveways, and sidewalks between middle to the end of late May and June, following it up with restoration, pavement marking, and asphalt pavements at the returns, and turning it back over to the city sometime right around the beginning of July. That's it in a nutshell.
Right.
Thank you.
We'll take some questions at the end, so I'll just kind of briefly just kind of go through some of the general information just regarding some of the access questions. As last year went, the first 3 phases, this is going to be very similar, where we will be closing it through traffic, and it will be detoured. The overall detour is going to be the same as last year and use 94, 26, 18, understanding probably nobody in this room is going to use that detour. We understand most of the folks in this room, as you get from one end to the other, you will have to use some of the other town roads or county roads in order to navigate around, just like you would have last year. We do understand there is not a lot of convenient ways to get from one end to the other. I understand it is going to add some time into your schedules, and we appreciate your patience as you figure out how to manage those that additional time that you'll have to put in there. So please keep in mind, we're looking at only a few more months of construction. I understand particularly some of the parents with schools and getting kids from one school to another. I understand it does create a little bit more inconvenience, but again, when you look at the school season, we're talking about a couple of months. So, and then as you look forward, way past my career, hopefully 20 years beyond my career, you won't see us back here doing this type of work. So again, just having that patience as we go through. So the access in the work zone, like I said, we're going to maintain access within for all the residences and businesses. And that includes Sandy Beach Road and Columbus Streets, those dead-end streets. There's still going to be access. If you're going to want to go to the beach, you can still get there. Keep in mind, please, this is temporary access. That means it's going to be like last year if you drove through. It's going to be a gravel surface. It's going to be uneven, and it's going to shift around as the contractor moves his operations down. So as you're driving through, as you particularly get closer to where they're working, please exercise caution. It's going to get narrower. You're going to have extra time, because they're going to be getting equipment and materials in and out. So for the safety of all the workers and everybody, please take your time as you go through. So I guess the other thing I wanted to highlight is, in addition to getting people in and out, we did meet with the schools a few weeks ago and have met with a contractor, understanding there's a need to keep a bus route going, of course, between the high school and the St. Paul's School on the south end of town, understanding there's some timing issues there, understanding this is a pretty relatively small number of buses, and they're at coordinated times, and they're in the morning and afternoon, understanding that the contractor can keep that route available. So for the most part, there will be some delay, obviously, because they're going to be driving through on a gravel surface, but obviously having larger buses going through, pretty visible, pretty easy to see in two-way contact, they can manage that. Again, having cars go through, every single car is not a manageable type of traffic with this type of a project. So we appreciate you working with us and, again, adding time in to get around. So driveways, luckily there's not a lot of driveways down here, but the ones that are there, they're going to maintain access to those most of the time, but they are going to come and they're going to have to shut the driveway down as they come through with all the different sequences. And they're going to do that and get in contact with you in advance to try and figure out hopefully a more convenient time to do it. And as you think forward, as they get to paving, if in particular you're a resident, if it's possible you can be without your driveway for a little bit more extended period of time, and you can walk perhaps, that'll take the time in half as they come through to basically get a paved surface. As if you kind of watched last year, they're going to go through and pave one lane, another lane, curb and gutter, sidewalk, then driveway apron. So there's a number of iterations that'll have to go through. If you need access all the time, they can provide that and do it half at a time. Just keep in mind it'll probably double the length of time it takes before they're completely out of your driveway. So I think the only last couple things I wanted to cover was water services, Eric, as far as when you're coming through and they're hooking up water. I know they'll be in contact if they do need to do a shut-off. A couple days. Yep, so they'll get in contact with you ahead of time. It usually doesn't take very long to do it, correct? So that's maybe one question a few people would have. Garbage pickup will be handled like last year, meaning that temporary access coming through, we're going to allow garbage trucks on there so you can put your garbage out there and on the same day and get it picked up. And then mail is, are you going to put a bank up on Woodland Beach Road, I believe? So kind of the same as last year, but if you're on the south end, you probably didn't know that that's where the mail is going to be accessible from. I think that's everything that I've got. Is there any questions, general questions that you have? Yes?
Can you talk about the intersection of A and 89? What's that access going to be like?
Okay, so the question is the intersection of A and 89. It's not going to change tremendously. So there's two things that are going, I mean, it's going to, we have a plan here, might be easier to show you, but.
If you're coming from the south,
Yep.
are you going to be able to turn to the left on A?
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's going to be the same similar intersection, I think.
Well, I mean, during construction.
Oh, during construction.
Will there be access, like if people are coming from Cambridge on A,
Mm-hmm.
can they turn to the right to come into, to go down to take Mansfield to come into town? What?
Yeah, you'll be coming, that would be coming through construction, so that through route is not going to be available. So there's going to be access so people can get into residence and stuff, but, so they're going to be working, I know Vita Plus, they've got a driveway there that they're going to manage to figure out how to keep that open for them, so, but other than that, if you're trying to get through again, the through route is not available for that, so. Topol Street to Mud Lake. I guess I'm kind of blanking as, yeah, okay, yeah. So, yeah, the city has a project for Mud Lake down there, and they're.
I'm just asking, you're not going that far into that, so it's really stopping by.
We're stopping just basically after the radius on A. So, like all the intersections, we're just going basically down past the curb returns.
So we could access coming around that area through Mud Lake Road from Highway 89 and G goes Mud Lake.
Should be able to. Without a map in front of me right now, I'm not picturing them all. Yeah. Yeah. So they have a project. I mean, just I guess to mention a couple of other projects we know of. The county is planning to do some work on A, most likely. They're, I think, realigning some of the curves down by the graveyard, but they don't exactly know the schedule on that. So that's out there, and then the city has a project down on Mud Lake. So.
You're going to maintain fire access to the south end of town?
Yeah, and I probably admit, so like all emergency services are going to have access through the zone, correct? Any other questions?
Will it also be in divided phases? Like, will it go to the edge of Sandy Beach and then go from there, or is it all one?
They're going to move, I'll let Eric jump in here, but they're going to move pretty quick, and I think they're going to,
One phase just with
So, yeah, like Eric said, utility installation on.
I apologize.
Okay, so the utility installation, they're gonna start on one end, and they're just gonna work their way down, and it's gonna go pretty quick. They're gonna do it in halves, on one half to start. But then as they come down, you gotta remember, they've gotta run services out to houses. As they come through with water main, they come behind and do that. So, again, they move pretty quick, so they'll start on one half and then move to the other half.
When you say half, is it the east half and the west half, or the north half?
So, starting on the east half of the road.
So you're basically running water and sewer all the way through the whole project phase, and then you're doing the east half and then the west half in concrete. So, but basically, the whole road is torn out from Woodland Beach Road to the end of the project.
Yep, so the pavement's gonna get pulled off from one end to the other, okay? Then it'll be gravel, and then they're gonna come through on the east half, and they're gonna work on the water and sewer, and get the storm in there, and then do the west half, and then come back and do paving. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric? Right, on the east half, where you're starting, yep. Maybe I said west, okay. Yes?
I've got a question. I live on Columbus Street. I haven't heard a reason as to why the improvements on there, curb and gutter, why something like that wasn't figured in.
So you're asking on Columbus Street why we didn't extend curb and gutter down Columbus Street?
The whole street.
So part of redoing Main Street, typically, we only go to the end of the curb returns. If the city wanted to extend and do curb, they could do that. It wasn't done as part of this project, so I don't know if Steve, huh? Yep, it's a budgetary, monetary thing. Yep.
Well, if it needs to be done, it'll get done, but it isn't getting done now because we just don't have the money.
Right, so financial constraints with being able to add that in at the moment.
You're there now, why not do it, get it done?
Yeah, you just got, it's not part of our highway, so we wouldn't do it with this. You could do it with the city paying for all of it, but again, it sounds like some constraints are, right, there's every side street, you could probably make that argument, so.
But it's, we can't do all the streets that
Yep.
way.
Yep.
That's a good question. Is the curvature getting changed on the salt, so that curve?
So that southern curve, yes, that's gonna soften, flatten some. It extends in at a 90-degree angle, it kind of curves in, yeah. It just has a curve and it curves, and we have some plans here we can show you, it's probably easier, so. Any other questions? Yes?
Yeah, help me picture this. I live down in Sandy Beach. I'm gonna come up by the car wash. How do I get into town?
So.
How do I get to Jefferson?
So they're gonna maintain access for you. It's gonna, like I said, there's gonna be a gravel lane that you'll be able to get north or, or south out. Again, it's gonna be, it's probably gonna change throughout construction, but it'll be like it. There's not gonna be like a complete temporary road built necessarily. I mean, there may be one for a certain period of time, but then it'll have to shift. So if you drove through the site last year, it'll operate pretty similar to that.
Yeah, it had big rocks and all that. It was that's gonna be again then, right?
Yes, it'll be similar to that. It'll be, like I say, people just take your time as you go through. Any other questions? One in front.
Wasn't some of the work done between Woodland Beach Road and Miracle?
Correct.
Some of that is,
Yeah, the sewer and water, I believe, is in for that stretch, yeah.
and then, so are they gonna start there and do it in that direction?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but they'll just pull all that pavement off, and then they'll pick up where they left off down there. But yeah, good distinction that technically it's Pinnacle that they're picking up with sewer and water.
Right, so would it start that end and then start the other south?
They'll start from there and go south, correct. Yes?
At what point does the curb and gutter sidewalk end on the south end of town? Just around the curve.
Just around the,
Driveway for that, the intersection of A.
yeah, just past the intersection of A. Any other questions?
I guess I'll talk to you guys later, but that drawing, that means A is, or total street, or A, whatever you want to call it, is being extended out 70, 80, 90 feet?
I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, as the curb softens, it moves away from where it is today, therefore it's gonna come
How
out.
will we get, how's Bus and how are we going to be accessing our, going through our driveway? I guess I'm a little bit confused. Do we have more detail? or-
Yeah, well, why don't we meet with you guys after this? I think it would be a little bit easier to look at a plan and then Eric can kind of describe for you his thoughts on that, but. Yes,
I wanted to mention that, I forgot Brian's last name.
Kane?
Kane, yeah. Brian, do you want to stand up? He's
There you go.
going to be your liaison again. He was the liaison to the homeowners on Mulberry and the other part of South Main, but some of you might not have met him. And he does a great job of helping solve problems, so I just, if you, maybe you want to say anything too?
It's what all these do. Thanks for the effort.
You did a great job.
Brian, you wanna come?
Yeah. So folks, I will make contact with you, and I'll give you contact information. You can contact me if you have questions or problems as the project is after it commences and as it's rolling along. There are going to be new mysteries every week, every day for that matter. So please, feel free to contact me with these. I won't be able to solve those unilaterally, but I'll work with the engineers on the project and the contractors on that. We'll get information back to you. So again, I will get contact information to everybody along the project, and you can certainly feel free to contact me at any time.
All right, thanks, Brian. Any other questions? Good, one more?
Pinnacle Drive, and they put a handicap ramp in temporarily,
Uh-huh.
down little ways or whatever.
Okay.
Is that just temporary?
It's, yeah, that, correct, that would just be temporary for the winter, kind of like the pavement down there. Yeah, if you want to come, we can show you what it'll look pretty similar probably to the other intersections with the curb ramps that went in there, but we can show that to you. Any others? All right, well, we'll be around here for however long we need to. If you've got questions, we can go over our specific access needs. Those are good to know for us, so for planning purposes. So please come meet with us. Thank you.